Not sure why that happened, but I had my video kind of kick out on me strangely. So, yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. I'm going to start basically from the top real quick. Had a discussion at work between two of my coworkers, and they basically said they couldn't tell who Brian Johnson versus Bon Scott was. And that to me makes no sense. They don't sound anything alike. Brian does have a tone under his scream in his vocal that you could almost say sounds like Bon, but it really doesn't. And then we get talking about, would Brian be able to say, he's like, would Bon be able to sing Brian stuff? Because we know Brian can sing Bon stuff. Well, and really talking about those bands, it's like, with a lineup change, depending on who it is, does the band sound better? So the first one I'm going to start talking about right off the bat, because I'm not going to beat around the bush here. We're going to get into it. The very first one is simple. Ronnie Era Sabbath versus Ozzy Sabbath. It's not really versus because it really is the same band. This era became heaven and hell. So the one thing that I want to mention is that obviously Ozzy's never sang any Black Sabbath with Dio. Ronnie has sang Ozzy stuff. Ronnie is a better singer. Yes, fact. Did they get popular, or did their fame sort of skyrocket more so with Dio? In some cases, yes. Ozzy and Sabbath really started off the entire thing. And I've said this numerous times before. Sabbath is Ozzy, Bill, Geese, Tony. That simple. So I think they hit a different audience with Dio. And that's not a bad thing, okay? It's really not a bad thing. But, personal opinion, I go with Ozzy. Would Ozzy be able to sing Dio stuff? Not a chance. Doesn't have the register. Now, when we look at other bands, Pantera, they kept mostly from the 90s, they were able to maintain the same lineup of Phil, Dime, Vinny, and Rex. Before that, they had Terry Glaze. When they got Phil, they got far better, and we know this. It's just a fact. I've never heard Phil do any of Terry's stuff because I've never seen the footage. I can guarantee you Terry would never be able to do Phil's. This is a scenario 100% where they got a new singer and they got better. That's when the fame and everything else took off. It's that simple. Moving on to the next band, we have obviously the main reason why I'm doing this video, AC/DC. Brian Johnson, Bon Scott. Bon Scott would never be able to sing the stuff that Brian did. Just never. And it's just a fact. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Did they get more famous after Bon? Yes, because essentially it's Brian on Back in Black. Okay, Brian's doing the vocals on Back in Black. Now, does that mean that the song structures would have changed? Probably not. Would they still have maintained that sort of, monstrous success? Possibly. But in my eyes, because Bon's no longer with us, we really can't say for sure. Because Bon, from High Voltage up to Highway to Hell, they only got better every record. You've got, High Voltage, which to me is meh. It's not one that sits with me. Dirty Deeds got better. Let There Be Rock got even more ferocious. Powerage, which has always been and always will be my number one favorite AC/DC record, Highway to Hell, comes very close to that. That's when their peak really started to hit. Then they got Brian because of Bond passing, and they just took off. Back in Black was successful. For Those About to Rock was successful. Flick the Switch is my second favorite. And just underneath that, in third place, is Fly on the Wall, because Fly on the Wall is fucking excellent. But Blow Up Your Video didn't quite hold that sort of strength. And then, of course, once you get past that, you get to this, which was far more commercially successful. They were all firing on all cylinders. Thunderstruck, the biggest track probably they ever did next to You Shook Me All Night Long. Fire Your Guns, Money Talks, Mistress for Christmas, Razor's Edge, Got You by the Balls, Are You Ready, yada, yada, yada. And of course, Ballbreaker was sort of niche for some people. It was good, I mean, Hard as a Rock, etc., but they kind of petered off for a couple of records, and then when they released Power Up, this was actually really, really good. I actually went back and re-listened to this. There's only a couple of tracks on here. I think Systems Down and Money Shot really didn't sit well. Code Red, Realize, Rejection, Shot in the Dark, Through the Mist of Time, which is probably the best song that I think they've ever written, or one of them. Kick You When You're Down's good. Witch's Spell, Demon Fire, Wild Reputation, Code Red, it's all awesome. Moving past those guys, we talk about another band who's had numerous lineup changes. And this actually was my number 3 record of 2021, and that's Cannibal Corpses' Violence Unimagined. Now, simply this here, when they changed from Chris Barnes to George Fisher, they got far more. Well, I won't say they got far more popular. They just maintained George as the lead singer, and of course they went through like Vile and Bloodthirst, Gallery of Suicide. They got better and better and better. A lot of people will say that Chris was a better singer. No, Chris was just a part of the classic records. Butcher to Birth, Tomb of the Mutilated, The Bleeding, which The Bleeding musically for me, like, Alex, Paul, fucking Rob and Jack, perfection. Chris, that's when he started the whole sort of that whole squealy bits of bullshit, which I can't fucking stand. Some of his lows are still there, which is good, because I loved his lows. But it's Chris Barnes. But then again, when you get into certain records by Cannibal, like Kill, Evisceration Plague, Skeletal Remains, and this I just find this has just got better. Probably, and I've said it before, like, this was my number 2 on my ranking, and then Kill was number 1, because Kill is just a fucking amazing Cannibal record, which I actually have to get to, by the way. Okay, I'm going to try to pick this up in just a little bit, because I've got some more records here to show, but another band I want to talk about, this one here, Exodus. So we all know we had Paul Bailoff on Bonded by Blood, and then you had Zetro, who was on this. He did most of the discography up until Temple of the Damned. He left, and in came Rob Dukes. Now, Rob Dukes is the singer that I like the best. Not because I don't like Zetro. Keep that in mind. I really like Zetro. But I came in when Rob when Rob was there. It's that simple. Do I hate Zetro? Obviously, I don't hate Zetro. I think this is a phenomenal record. I think this is better than Persona Non Grata. But that's me. Obviously, when they had Paul Bailoff, and then they went to Zetro, they released Pleasures of the Flesh, and then there was, Fabulous Disaster. Of course, there was also, Impact is Imminent. That was good. Temple of the Damned. Force of Habit. Force of Bullshit, maybe. But of course, you had, the Exhibit A and Exhibit B with Rob. The Let There Be Blood, which is a re-recording of Bonded by Blood. So, Rob can sing Paul stuff. Zetro can sing Rob and Paul stuff. Paul refused to do anything but his own stuff. So, yeah. He really had a hard time trying to sing Zetro stuff because Zetro is a completely different vocalist. It's that simple. So, Rob and Zetro can swap in and out and sing each other's songs, and they've talked about it on their interview. If you're a subscriber to Zetro's Toxic Vault, you even hear them talking about it. They love talking about singing certain Zetro. One of his favorite songs to sing is Death Amphetamine. It's a fucking really hard song to sing too. But yeah, so you guys see where I'm going with this. If you want to do a video, cool. If not, leave me comments and just say, do you think certain bands got better, or do you think certain singers can sing other songs by other singers and vice versa? This may seem sort of rambling, but in my head I had it good. Now, here's where I get to a different sort of thing, because you have a band like this where each lineup change is not a singer, it's other musicians, and it gets better. So the first record is only two members, Chuck Schuldiner, Chris Reifert. It's that simple. You guys know this. I don't even have to remotely talk about this at all. It's death. So this is Scream Bloody Gore, super raw, still thrashy, but this is where like a lot of the death metal starts, with especially lyrically. Then they have moved on to Death Leprosy, which I don't have, but I am planning on getting that next. And then you have, of course, lineup changes with guitar players, and you get James Murphy on this. This is fucking phenomenal, okay? But I had to give it a number. When I did my ranking, I had to give them a number. This stuff's killer. Like, I remember at one point I would never buy a Death record because I'm like, it's trash. Fucking Death is terrible, blah. But I was in my early 20s and I didn't know shit. When I saw this, I was like, yep, I'll grab this one next. Because I didn't really want to buy them all sort of in order or anything. It's just kind of go. So yeah, just look at that fucking logo. Jesus, you guys know the logo. And of course, my personal favorite, but I love Death as a whole anyways. And I never thought I'd ever say that because it's taken me so long to really like these guys. It's taken me a long time to get into a lot of the stuff that I've been posting and talking about lately, because shit, for the longest time it was only two or three bands I listened to. So I just wish I would have had friends that really just said, no, you got to listen to it. No, go listen to this, please, or come to my house and we'll do this. And then of course the next one, which this is my personal favorite, Death Human. This features Sean Reinert and Paul Masvidal from Cynic, and rest in peace, Sean. Look at that fucking logo. It is massive on this one. It's killer, and the cross is slowly becoming a cross, and not just an inverted cross. Flattening of Emotion, Suicide Machine, together as one, Secret Face, Lack of Comprehension, See Through Dreams, just fucking awesome. And this is where they started the whole sort of prog thing, because Sean and Paul are amazing musicians. This is just a fucking smoke show of a record. But that's kind of where you can have the same singer and you can change it. And of course they can they can all play the guitar parts and stuff. Did they get better? Absolutely. Every record they get better. Because lineup changes can do that. Now, moving over to another band. This band, Intuned, Left Hand Path. Basically, with this, and I'm not 100% sure, but I presume that they've done stuff with LG that was sung by Nick on Clandestine. I don't have clandestine or clandestine. But this year, like it, and this year, all it was, most of it was musicians, because LG was on this one. Then on clandestine, it was Nick Anderson. Then they went back to LG, which is a smarter move if you want my true opinion. He's probably one of the best death metal or mellow death or Swedish death metal vocalists out there. So I kind of guess, like, and if anybody can confirm whether or not Nick and LG have sang each other's stuff, I'm sure they have. But I don't know, because it's not one that I'm aware of. Okay, and last but not least, this band here, who's had a couple of lineup changes, but they only got better with each lineup change. Motorhead. Lucas Fox, Larry Wallace, Lemmy. Okay, on Parole. Pretty much the debut record. And the only songs, Phil Taylor did the drums on a couple of things. But then they went to a different lineup. Lemmy's always been the vocalist. I mean, we all know this. That was the first Motorhead lineup. And then you had the classic, which now this is Iron Fist. You have Lemmy, Fast Eddie Clark, Filthy Animal Taylor. And Eddie was the one who produced this. Now, a lot of people don't like this for whatever reason because the production is bad. I think it's great, but that's me. So, obviously, when you go from Larry Wallace and Lucas Fox to Fast Eddie Clark and, Filthy Animal Taylor, it got better. It got far, far, far better. And, so, essentially, that's basically the video. Okay? Now, some guys are probably going, what the fuck did I just watch? Essentially, it's can lineup changes really affect a band to go from here to here? Most cases, yes. With Exodus, with AC/DC, with Pantera, with if you're looking at just vocalists, even a bit of Sabbath, because Ronnie took them to a completely different level. But Ozzy's always been the number one, right? Now, in AC/DC's case, a lot of guys will argue that Bon Scott is the better singer. And really, you're not wrong. Brian is just a screamer. He just screams. But he's really good at it. And he has a natural swagger that and a delivery that's offsetting from Bon. But I love both Brian and Bon. I just happen to be a Brian guy because that was the first stuff that I heard. But like I said, Power Age is my number one record of AC/DC. So, and like I say, when it comes to just different musicians, you can always change out a guitar player and it sound good. But when you effectively completely change the lineup, from this to this to this and forward, you're really talking a completely different thing. But still the same sort of vision. So that's it, guys. Please, I'm glad you stayed to this long. I probably babbled on like a complete and utter twat. I hope things make sense to you guys. Like I say, leave them in the comments what you guys think. Tell me if I'm crazy. Tell me if I'm full of shit, Just call me a fool if you need to. But yeah, guys, I hope, like I say, I hope this come across the correct way, and I hope you guys understood what I was going for. Excuse me, and apologies for the yawns, but I have wisdom tooth surgery tomorrow. Boo earns. Keep it up, guys. Keep it heavy, and I'll see you in the next video.